So we move now to the next session, harmony in data, and we will see how geophysical data coming from assistant technology with sonification can reverse correlation in data in inspired music. So I give the floor now to Sijin Chen and her colleagues. And the floor is yours, Sijin.
Thank you, Massimiliano, and thank you, everybody. Without further ado, our session is about harmony in data and from industrial, scientific, music, and so let me introduce you first, our speaker, Mr. Gordon Stowe, CEO of Adrok. The floor is yours, Gordon, please.
I'm Gordon Stowe. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Adrok. We're a geophysical technology company. So we help oil and gas companies around the world explore for natural resources in the ground that are important for the electronics industry and movement and travel around the world. So can I move to the next slide? How did I do that? So I don't have control of the slides.
We see your screen. Okay, you are moving from the first slide, and we saw the second slide then, so you can.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we travel all around the world looking for information in the ground and turning that information into meaningful results for our clients. So with this, there's lots of interpretation. There's lots of artistic interpretation of the subsurface, but we bring the science to the geological artistic interpretation as well. So there's two spheres of art and science coming together with what we do. So the final slide. So we're big proponents of integrating science and art. So we've been doing that ever since we started the company 20 years ago. I'm a firm believer that we have one brain, but within that brain we have the left part and the right part. The left part is the analytical and methodological part of the brain, and the right hand side of the brain is the creativity part. So joining these two together, we can solve lots of problems, and that's what we do at Adrok. So I'll hand back to my colleagues. Thank you.
We'll move to our next speaker, who is also from Adrok, Dr. Kees van den Doel, Chief Scientific Officer from Adrok. Before he joined Adrok in 2015, he has obtained 2 PhDs in theoretical particle physics and computer science. He's also an expert in Persian music, especially talented in Persian ney. So please, the floor is yours, Kees.
Thank you, Sijin, for that introduction. Yes, so in my few minutes here, I would like to basically briefly give you some motivation why we are doing sonifications at a commercial company. A lot of the wind has been taken out of my sails by the previous talk. Stavros was sonifying the universe. We're a little bit more modest. We just sonify our own data, which relates to subsurface phenomena. So taking a step back, what's the purpose of sonification, apart from creating beautiful sounds or interesting sounds that artists can use to create art? Well, it's the same as data visualization using images. Most of our scientific data comes in the forms of millions or billions of numbers. And to make sense of this, we have to translate it into something that the human sensory organs can detect. So we have 5, and the most common one is using our visual system to create images. So say if you have, well, we've all seen this. You can create images of radar telescopes that record wavelengths that we cannot see by moving them to a different frequency range. But it's also possible to create sounds out of data, and this can show you different aspects or give you more information in the data that you could not see using a visualization. That being said, visualization is, of course, still the most common one, but there's certain advantage of sonifications. So a little bit of history, a major success in sonification was in the 50s and 60s. When people discovered that taking passive seismic data of earthquakes, you could not really tell the difference between an illegal subsurface nuclear explosion, this was during the negotiation for the test ban treaty, and a small earthquake. Until somebody had the idea of translating the sonic data into sounds, and it's pretty simple. It is essentially sound you're recording, but it's subsonic. So all you have to do is increase the frequency and listen to it, and it turns out you can hear the difference between a nuclear explosion, subsurface nuclear explosion, and an earthquake. So so this was a major success, and this allowed us to move forward with the test ban treaty and enforce it. So since then, a lot of other data has been sonified. We, in the previous talk, gave a beautiful overview, and in our applications, we're always actively looking in our data for things we can hear and not see. And one of our successes has been detection of equipment failures in field work. Some years ago, we went to the Arctic, where we were exposed to like minus 50 degree centigrade environments. And some of our equipment developed problems that were hard to diagnose by any other means than to listen to them. So we have a publication on this. I'll put that in the chat right now, so you can have a look at that if you're interested. It shows how we sonify our data and visualize it and sonify it. And we did some user studies within our company to determine what was most effective. And it turns out that you can detect faults using sound, but not using standard visualization methods. More broadly speaking, we have a sonification platform where all our data can be sonified in different ways. And we're always experimenting doing it in different ways. Because you may not hear something one way and you could hear it in the other way. And Colin is going to show us some examples of that. A full set of examples we've put for this conference on a public website, which I'll put into the chat right now as well. You can see our visualizations using images, and you can also hear how we created sounds. And these sounds are apparently sufficiently interesting that Sijin has taken it upon herself to use them in her opera, which she will discuss after Colin's talk. And I see our founder and chief scientist, Dr. Colin Stove, is online now, and he'll give you some examples and give you some more detail on how we are using these sonification tools within our company.
We share the video and audio file from Adrok sonification data, which Colin would tell us.
Okay, we see this.
I can say a few things about this if you like.
Yes, please.
So the image, what you're seeing here is a scan of Colin's heart using our ADR microwave imaging technology, and he has a small problem on his heart which you can see using this visualization, though it's kind of hard to see. He would explain during his talk. But it turns out if we sonify it, we can see different or listen to different aspects of it. And the way we sonified it is more intended for Sijin's use for the opera rather than for scientific purposes. For that, we have to slow it down even more. And what you could actually hear is very clear heartbeats, like chung, chung, chung. And once in a while, you hear an irregularity, which is the particular problem that we wanted to diagnose. And so if you speed this up, it sort of summarized the whole scan, which lasts several minutes, into a few seconds of a burst of sound. So this was the first example. Since Colin is not here, we could perhaps just briefly go through the slides, and I'll try to say a few things. So if you go to the second slide, which is water and gas, could you bring that up, Sijin?
Sure.
So this is an image of a seawater scan in South America, and this visualization shows rising bubbles in the water. And the visualization here actually does a pretty good job. And the only reason we sonify this image is for artistic purposes. And the image appears on the website that I sent in the chat before, where you can listen to, I believe I put 2 different kinds of sonifications of this particular data up there. And so from scientific point of view, what we're using is Doppler shift and other things in the frequency range of electromagnetism. And we slow this down to the audio range. So on the next slide, if you could advance, Sijin, it's similar. These are water bubbles from the seabed, CH4, which is a strong spectral signature for our method. Again, we have a sonification on the website. And the next slide, which is the cross-section of a glacier. So we basically move our scanning apparatus over, I forget how long this is, we have to ask Colin, I think it's about 500 meters. Move it over the ice and image the subsurface. So it shows you this picture and you can see various layers. And it also provides a very rich source of sounds. Again, it's unclear if we can actually discover something in this image during sonification, but it sounds quite interesting. And if we move to the next slide, please. So the heart music is, actually that was already the first slide. If we move to the next one, there are some interesting details about how the images relate to the actual heart that I unfortunately don't know. So unless Colin comes back online, you'll have to take our word for this.
Yes,
again, on that.
Colin to give us the full story behind the heart music. Yes.
And you can always contact us on the website. I put our website on the chat too for more information. And so in the interest of time, let me stop here. And maybe if Colin comes back online, he can say a few words without running too much over time.
Thank you, Kay. Thank you. Yes, I will stop the screen sharing. Yes. So we have our next speaker, Mr. Yikeshan Abudushalamu. He's a composer and also the winner of the Luciano Berry Prize last year. He will share with us today how color frequencies inspired his string quartet, modulation of 3 primary colors. The floor is yours, Yikeshan, please. Perhaps I will share first with this quantum video, which is already using your music, this primary color music with with visual, so we can have a first hear the sound effect. Yes. Let me share my screen with you. Here. And let's go. Yes, it's a very short trailer of the quantum opera, which not all, just some of the materials were used from Adrok sonification and Yikeshan's composition. we see two screens of Yikeshan now.
Okay. So I'm gonna close the Firefox. No, Chrome.
Good. We now see you perfectly, and we also see your screen. So if you want to open your presentation or something, we see it. Very good. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Eventually, I use Safari now to work things out. So hello, everybody. My name is Yikeshan Abudushalamu, born and bred in Urumqi, Xinjiang. As you can see from my look, I'm not a typical Chinese, but Uyghur Chinese from northwest part of China. And I have been living in Shanghai as a freelance composer after I finished both of my bachelor and master's degree in composition from Shanghai Conservatory. So first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me here. And it is really a great opportunity for me to share some of my compositional ideas about one of my works titled as Modulation of Three Primary Colors I composed for a string quartet in 2013. It was commissioned by Shanghai New Music Week and premiered by an Austrian ensemble called Ensemble 20 Jahrhundert from Austria. Jahrhundert means century. So since only can I have 3 to 5 minutes to speak, I won't be able to do the detailed analysis of the work, but to make a brief description to share how scientific data inspire or help me to create my musical works. So to me, I have always been working with different types of data since the third year of my bachelor study in the conservatory to generate my needed compositional materials with the help of various types of softwares, such as AudioSculpt, MaxMSP, Open Music, Pro Tools, and so on. So now I'm going to give you an example from the project I created specifically for this work, Modulation of Three Primary Colors, to show you how have I been working with data to generate my needed musical materials. So what you're looking at now here, okay. So what you are looking at now from the screen in this patchwork I made the year I composed the piece with the help of a computer-assisted composition software called Open Music. It is a visual programming environment based on a computer programming language called Lisp or Common Lisp that helps composers to create their music compositional projects by using various algorithmic tools or objects provided by the software itself. As you can see, there are 3 colors on top, which are red, green, and blue. Right below each color is its LED frequency values. 428, 566, 638 kilohertz, what I call the original frequency values. You might have noticed already that there's another set of values beneath them with the same numbers, but different units that I call symbolized frequency values. The reason why had I changed the units by eliminating alphabet K because if I directly converted those original frequency values into musical pitches, they will impossible to be perceived by the human ears under the law of hearing threshold. As you probably know, the human ears can only sense from 20 Hertz to 20 kilohertz. That is to say, the very first step of my work at that time was to convert the light frequency values into musical pitches by using one of those objects in the software called Modulator. To get more needed pitch materials for composing this work, at this moment you probably should have known where the title of the work comes from. That is, the modulation processes among these 3 colors. So let me give you, please note that this is just one of many work steps in my entire project. So let me just give you one more example to illustrate how I obtained the initial pitch materials from these 3 colors. So, okay, here is another patch I created for generating initial pitch materials for the piece. As you can see, there are plenty of objects, right? And I will choose one part of it to explain how I generated pitches from red color. As you can see from here, the left side, the small box, sorry, the small box where you can type in any sort of value. It can be numbers, symbols, or alphabets. And this one
is called frequency to midi-cent converter, which is used for converting the frequency values into pitches. And this box with clef is called chord object for hearing the pitch results converted from any types of data. And these two here called the modulators. The first one is frequency modulator, and the second one is ring modulator. Let me just take the frequency modulator to show you how it works. As you can see here, as you can see that there are 5 inputs on top of that. The first one is used for connecting the carrier, such as this one, the G, natural. And the second one is used for connecting the modulator, this one. So the third one is used for typing in the index number. And these 3 buttons, these 3 inputs are optional. You can change. So the fourth one is used for changing the unit. Like here, you can see, okay, it's changing the units. And the fifth one, the last one is used for changing the type of representation. Actually, the last two inputs are optional. It's not important at the moment. So, in this case, the first chord object is connected as a carrier to the first input, and the second chord object is connected as a modulator to the second input here. And by changing the index number calculated by the frequency modulator, eventually it evaluates this. For instance, I put 1, which means the one-time calculation. After one-time calculation, it eventually calculated a 5 notes chord in this chord object. So by far, I have shown you that how did I get my needed initial pitch materials for composing through the conversion between light frequency values and the musical pitches in a very simple way. So since I am running out of time, so I'm going to stop here. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything related to my speech, I would be happy to respond during the Q&A session. Thank you for listening, and let us back to Sijin. Thank you.
Thank you, Yikeshan. Intriguing how colors can inspire music composition. And I would like to conclude the session by sharing with you the outline of a music performance, a quantum opera, that I have been working with a team of scientists, artists, many disciplines. I was inspired by a variety of interactions with quantum physicists who told me about Bose-Einstein condensation and quantum jumps. I tried to unite my own research in this historical roots of music and culture and its link to mythologies with all these insights into a quantum opera that celebrates the origin of the universe. As you have seen the video, I showed you the short video trailer. Thanks to David Santini, who is the physicist and also multimedia artist from Italy, who kindly created this video for us. And this gives you hopefully a glimpse of the idea. The idea of our very diverse team is creating a live performance for helping audience experience and then understand how the strange quantum world, in particular quantum randomness, can be at the heart of the creation of our universe. And the live performance and piano improvisations emphasize the role of unpredictable, unlimited human creativity. And the quantum opera that strives to create a kind of Gesamtkunstwerk that celebrates human creativity and reflects on quantum concepts. In the libretto I wrote for the opera, in a metaphorical way, I use mythologies from ancient cultures to convey quantum concepts. For example, the concept of 默契, it's an ancient Chinese term, means tacit understanding between two people, even far apart. And it links to quantum entangled states, could be seen as two persons in true love, in true friendship. Despite of time and space, they can still behave as if entangled and in a common goal and understand each other. So that's transcending time and space, a metaphor for the action at the distance that Einstein found so troublesome. So such analogies help, perhaps in a modest way, to convey some concepts like entanglement, more comprehensible to non-physicists, to public audiences. As such, I hope this music project could help science communication via music. So I think I didn't stretch too much of the time, and I give the floor to Massimiliano. Thank you.